stories we're tracking for you is out of the Eastern Cape. The South African Weather Service issuing warnings of heavy weather across the Northern and Western Cape today, with this gift of the givers also moving its operation in the province to East London, and part of their work has already started there. We're joined by Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman of Gift of the Givers. Dr. Sooliman, good evening to you and thanks for your time. It's been a devastating period for those that have been hardest hit by these floods in the Eastern Cape. Talk to us about the work that you've been doing, assessing and really trying to understand what the damage caused by these floods has been.
Good evening, Kathy. Yes, it's been devastating not only for the residents today, it's been devastating for the last few weeks in the Eastern Cape. A tornado in Umtata, followed by a tornado in the Raymond Mashlaba municipality, affecting Alice, Adelaide, Fort Beaufort, and Middlesbrough. And then yesterday, well, the day before, in the evening, rains came continuously in East London. Yesterday morning, when residents were getting up, they said the water was at head level already in the informal settlements in where they were living. One tragic story was that the mother was in the house. The house got washed away, and her 18-year-old daughter got washed away with the water. And desperately, she tried to catch her daughter, but couldn't do that. And the daughter drowned in the stream, which was now a big river, following the rainfall. Many houses were destroyed, washed away, and severely damaged, including the furniture, clothing, blankets, and food that they had just bought recently. And even more stressful was all the stationery and school uniforms they bought for schools opening up in a week's time. And the mother of that 18-year-old child was taken to hospital with injuries. She came back today. We were on site at her house. Well, there's no house there anymore, just the open land. And she was so distraught. She said, I have no money for my house. I have no money to buy food. I have no money to borrow to bury my daughter. What do I do? She was completely distraught. Many other homes, you could see the desperation. I mean, these are not rich communities. These are people who have minimal means. And to lose even one shirt or one blanket or one bag is a lot to lose in those areas. And they were trying to clean their furniture, their clothes and everything else, but it just wasn't possible. There was too much of mud there. That was only one village. That was Amdansane. Darkan village had a similar story. But the extension of this flood is not only in East London. It has gone all the way from Tata. And in one of the rivers, 4 people have drowned in the river. So the water damage is huge in the area for the people of Eastern Cape, in addition to everything that has happened in the last month.
Dr. Sooliman, it really indicates the extent to which we are experiencing changing weather patterns in this country and the need to have policies that have some of these risk, systems that will be activated once we do experience some kind of climate disaster like these floods. Are you seeing any kind of changes in the responses that we have on the ground from a government perspective?
No, but this thing has been coming for a long time. The most important thing is you can't really take people. You can have warning systems, but those things don't work, to be honest, because people who come from poorer areas are afraid. Like you see after a fire, people don't want to move away from the fire. The fire is burning, but they stay on site because they're afraid to lose that land which they got, in an informal settlement. So even in this situation, even if you give them a warning sign, it's not going to work. People are not going to leave their houses and go away. It happens all over the world. People will not move. You tell them an earthquake is coming, a storm is coming, a typhoon is coming. Except in developed areas, they may move. But in areas like this, where in informal settlements and poorer communities, nobody's going to move. So what's the alternative? You need to have standby personnel. Well, the disaster management in terms of that are very good, in terms of responding, in moving people, in putting fire out, in coming and doing water rescue. They're very good at that. But what happens after that? The period in which to build houses or to move people or to provide supplies takes a long time or never happens. And in almost 100% of cases, we are called to be the disaster response. Even for this one, we were called by the NEC of Kokta, we were called by the Minister of Human Settlements, we were called by the mayor, the deputy mayor, the municipality, the leaders in the community, and the people to please come and assist, which we always do, and we don't have a problem with that. But the problem we have is the lack of preparation and the systems. The government system is a disaster. It takes too long to release funds, to activate and support people. Let's go back a little bit to clarify the point that I'm speaking about, or make an additional point. In the tornado that happened in Raymond Mashlaba district, 49 clinics and 3 hospitals have been damaged. And that was a few weeks ago. Nothing has been done to help any of these clinics. It means now people who lost homes are without homes and they have no healthcare facilities to go to because they're severely damaged. There is a hospital called Winterberg in the area in East London. A big tree fell over it, or on the roof and on the generator. That tree hasn't been moved yet. And the windows haven't been repaired because no funding has come through. So to answer your question, we can't do anything about climate change. That's the reality. But we need to be able to respond rapidly in terms of funding and supplies. And the other big problem is a lot of people build their houses on river banks. They build it on areas which are floodplains. And they keep going back to the same area. And that is because an alternative land is not given to them. They need alternative areas to move away, like what has been happening in Alexandra for years on the Yexke River. People keep going back to the banks of the river and they keep drowning.
What is your priority in terms of the current intervention in the Eastern Cape?
It's the same principle in every disaster like this. You come in first, people are traumatized, they don't know what to do, they've lost their food, they're hungry, they need shelter. Some of them go to halls, some of them, as I told you, don't go to halls. They stay in the rain, they stay in the fire, they stay on site, they don't want to lose their land. So those that go to the halls, and again I must say, Buffalo City Municipality, the disaster management teams were excellent. They moved people to 5 different halls, they sat with us the whole day, and our priority was to provide food for the people, which we did till midnight last night. And the disaster management people were with us, moving people to those halls. The second thing they need after food and water is something to sleep on, and we provide either sleeping bags or blankets. In this case, we provided a sleeping bag, which is like blankets. It was given to us by Woolworths, and it's a very special design which we use. And then, of course, you give them mattresses in the hall, but you can't give them mattresses where the floodplains are. It'll just get soaked. But today, when the mud was removed and some of the houses were a little better, we did give mattresses and blankets to those homes where they could take it, where the mud has been moved out. And we provided food again, because we're going to provide food daily for the next few days. We gave food in the hall and we gave in the village. Those affected by the floods and those not affected by the floods, because it's all poor people. And they all came to eat in the area. The most important thing now is to rebuild the homes, those that are totally damaged and those that are partially damaged. And that we have to do a plan. I think National Human Settlements is looking at moving the people away from the floodplain. That's the only real, practical way of intervening. Otherwise, you're going to have the same problem with the rains like that come again. And thereafter, of course, the people are going to be dependent on funding to help them with their furniture, their stationery, food parcels, clothing, blankets. We will provide stationery. We already started providing clothing. We will look at food parcels. We may even look at some building material. And we also want to send in teams to Winterberg Hospital to fix up those windows and the tree, remove it, and also 1 or 2 of the other clinics that were damaged during the tornado of 3 weeks ago.
Dr. Sooliman, just lastly, in terms of those that have been displaced, do you have a clear figure yet of how many people we're looking at?
Last night it was just 300 to 400 people, but everybody wasn't reached. And remember, those were only 2 areas. That was Dunkel Village and Umdansane. But in other areas, they're still counting people. More people are being displaced. But along the Eastern Cape, from Umtata to East London, the floods have hit all over. There's probably many more people displaced. All the figures are not in yet.
Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman, let me thank you for your time tonight. He is with Gift of the Givers. Plenty more in terms of the work that they're doing. We'll keep tabs on it throughout the rest of the week.